the present time, it operates in the limited field of medicine, surgery, pathology, and radiology for adult patients with a diploma school for nurses. And it seems most unlikely that it will not be functioning in this capacity when you read this letter. After having served as president of the hospital for about 7 years, I resigned that position a year ago and now serve as chairman of the Board of Trustees, devoting a major part of my time to the promotion of a plan to consolidate the facilities of this hospital with 5 of the other Harvard-affiliated hospitals into a complex to be located near the medical school. We hope these hospitals operating together in new facilities will cover the complete medical spectrum for human care. The proposal on which we have been working for several years was instigated by Dean George Packer Berry of the medical school, and the other hospitals involved are the Boston Lying In, engaged in obstetrics, the Children's Hospital in pediatrics, the Free Hospital for Women in gynecology, the Massachusetts Eye and Ear Infirmary in eye, ear, nose, and throat ailments, and the Robert Brecht Brigham, primarily specializing in arthritis and related diseases. Each hospital has its own facilities located apart from the others, except that the Children's is adjacent to and connected with this hospital, and many of its professional staff hold positions on our staff, and our hospital staff supplies radiology and pathology services to the Robert Brecht Brigham Hospital. A planning committee composed of trustees, representatives of each of the hospitals, was established with a number of subcommittees to study the various phases of the problems involved. A professional committee composed of leading members of the staffs prepared a report as to the ideal facilities and type of hospital complex which will best serve the threefold purpose of providing the best in medical research, teaching, and patient care for the foreseeable future. This document, known as the Mission Group Report, which is enclosed herewith, is a most interesting and careful effort to anticipate and plan for future medical care, and will be interesting for you to see how well or how poorly the great medical minds of today can predict and provide for the future. It will be interesting for you to see whether this project has come into being and how near or far it is from our dreams. The basic problems involved are many. The principal ones which now confront us are threefold. First, the problem of acquiring adjacent and appropriate land area near the medical school, and hopefully adjacent to the most modern portion of the Children's Hospital, so that the latter can be used as part of the complex. The Brigham, which owned about 12 to 14 acres, has reluctantly agreed to sell part of its land to the medical school because the school was completely hemmed in and needs additional area to expand for the Countway Library and other buildings, while the hospital had an area larger than would be needed to replace its hospital with a modern high-rise building for its own use, and yet insufficient land for the contemplated complex. It therefore becomes necessary, if the complex is to be created, to acquire additional land along and across Francis Street, if the complex is to be located adjacent to the Children's Hospital and at the nearest site to the medical school. In the alternative, the whole complex may be built on the property recently acquired by Harvard from the Catholic Church, now occupied by the House of the Good Shepherd, a less desirable location because of its distance from the medical school and the Children's Hospital. It is to be hoped that through the Urban Redevelopment Authority, we will be able to acquire the property on Francis Street now occupied by private dwellings, as the authority has the right to acquire by eminent domain. However, urban redevelopment is now politically unpopular, and there is grave doubt as to whether this can be accomplished, and if not, the problem of buying voluntarily all of the needed private dwellings is at best a long and difficult one. Each of the hospitals has its own particular problems. The Boston Lying In and the Free Hospital for Women are working towards combining into one hospital for women, a logical move as evidenced by the fact that the departments of gynecology and obstetrics have recently been combined in the medical school. The Massachusetts Eye and Ear Infirmary now operates its hospital close to the Massachusetts General Hospital and intends to continue there. Hence, if it joins the complex, it has the problem of operating 2 units under one professional staff. Others have equally troublesome problems. Furthermore, funds and endowments of the hospitals vary substantially, and each must protect its own ability to operate and not find itself supporting the others. Again, the present buildings of the several hospitals are of greatly varying values and marketability, and each must see its way clear to dispose of its existing premises before committing itself to joining in the new complex. One can see that an agreement to cover these diverse problems is no simple matter. Thirdly, the financial problem of raising the necessary funds to build the ideal complex is obviously a major undertaking in itself. It is estimated that the cost will be in the vicinity of $40 million. To what extent national foundations will give to such an enterprise is unknown. While a substantial portion of the funds may be expected from the federal government, nevertheless, the raising of the balance in the Boston area, where Harvard College has just raised $75 million, and Harvard Medical Center is now attempting to raise $58 million solely for the academic aspects of the school and the hospitals, is a gigantic project. In spite of all these problems, I believe that this project will have been completed when you read this letter, because there is a complete unanimity among those concerned that it is almost essential, if these hospitals are to continue in the forefront of the medical world and provide the teaching, research, and patient care at standards which all feel must be maintained and at a cost which people can afford. We have now elected Dr. Robert J. Glasser as president of the Affiliated Hospital Center, Inc., and appointed him the chief executive officer to provide the leadership to this enterprise. He is extraordinarily well qualified, having just resigned as dean of the University of Colorado Medical School to take on this challenging project. And I hope that when you read this letter, you will also see around you the tangible results of all of the time and effort of the many connected with these institutions, and that the Peter Bent Brigham will be the heart and soul of a medical complex that has provided and is providing mankind with leadership in teaching, research, and patient care over a period of a century, and that you can and will be proud of the institution you serve. Yours sincerely, Charles B. Barnes, Chairman of the Board.